Justice has finally caught up with Brittney Griner, and it was brutal after her racially charged attack on Caitlin Clark sparked outrage online. The WNBA appeared eager to let the controversy fade into silence. But the internet didn't forget. And neither did karma. In a stunning turn of events, justice has been served in the most unforgiving way.
Indiana Fever and Atlanta Dream played. Indiana Fever is where Caitlin Clark plays. Atlanta Dream is where Brittney Griner plays. Now you tell me what it looks like Brittney Griner is saying here.
For the ticky-tack fouls that we were talking about earlier today.
For a little bit of context, this was in the fourth quarter after Brittney Griner fouled out against Caitlin Clark, and Indiana Fever would go on to win by 5. Now I'm going to tell you what I think she said. Let's play it back. Looks to me like she is saying trash and then calling Caitlin Clark a bleep white girl. Just a reminder, this is who Joe Biden traded for the Russian merchant of death. So many WNBA players hate Caitlin Clark so much when she is the best thing that could have happened to the league. And she's not the best thing that happened to the league because she's white. It's
the WNBA finally takes action. And Brittney Griner is feeling the fallout for weeks. The league shielded her. But now, everything has changed. The WNBA has just made a stunning decision that could mark the end of Brittney Griner's career. And it's a reckoning many feel was long overdue. After her racially charged remarks about Caitlin Clark ignited a firestorm online, fans watched in disbelief as the league stayed silent, seemingly hoping the controversy would disappear. But silence couldn't hold forever. Today, that silence was shattered. The league office dropped a bombshell announcement that's shaking the basketball world to its core. The same organization that once bent over backward to insulate Griner from the fallout has finally taken a stand. And the consequences are severe. Now the question isn't whether justice has been served. Which is more satisfying? Watching Griner face the repercussions of her words, or witnessing the WNBA finally show some spine and enforce the very rules it once ignored. The moment the public has been demanding is here, and Brittney Griner is about to learn, in the harshest way possible, that actions have consequences.
If you want to get people never to watch the WNBA, this is an amazing way to do it. If the league is going to be rooted in this sort of nastiness with regard to its only real star, good luck to them. Well, folks, the left has a real problem in the United States. They've spent the last several decades talking about how racism is an endemic problem in American life. And there's a problem with that problem, which is there's not enough.
It all started with one explosive moment, caught on camera. The chain of events that led to this dramatic fallout began with a single, undeniable moment. During a heated matchup against Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever, Brittney Griner was caught, on camera, crystal clear, mouthing the words, "trash white girl," after fouling out of the game. The footage went viral almost instantly, sparking outrage across social media and reigniting debates about double standards and accountability. In professional sports, what was initially brushed off by some as trash talk quickly escalated into a national controversy. And now, the consequences have finally arrived.
Brittney Griner was caught on tape during a game with the Indiana Fever, dropping racial slurs against Caitlin Clark, and pretty obviously doing so.
Tech fouls that we were talking about earlier today.
And it doesn't take a lot of genius to lip read Brittney Griner, whose voice, by the way, is about as low as mine is, calling her trash and an effing white girl. Now, of course, if Caitlin Clark had ever suggested the same in reverse, using black as opposed to white in that sentence, that'd be the end of her WNBA career. But Brittney Griner is going strong. It's totally fine.
The evidence was clear, but the WNBA looked away. The footage wasn't up for debate. Lip-reading experts confirmed what millions of viewers had already seen for themselves. Brittney Griner's words were unmistakable, and so was the intent behind them. It was a racially charged outburst caught in full view of the cameras, yet the reaction from the WNBA was anything but swift. Instead of enforcing consequences, the league pivoted to damage control, scrambling to shield one of its most prominent veterans. This is the same organization that wasted no time launching investigations into alleged racism from Indiana Fever fans, claims that were flimsy at best. But when the racism came from one of their own, on national television, the response was silence. The hypocrisy couldn't be more obvious. The league dismissed public concern, ignored clear evidence, and hoped that public outrage would fade with time. But karma has no expiration date, and now The carefully constructed wall of protection around Griner has crumbled in spectacular fashion. Justice didn't forget. It was just waiting for the perfect moment.
What else happened to everybody else?
I mean, I know there's always consequences to actions. You know, what I did, I already know that I was going to get, you know, some time for that. And, you know, I respect, you know, I got 3 games. Okay. I'm not disputing that at all. Do I think that it shouldn't have been 3 across the board? Boom, everybody involved in it, 3-3-3? I think that would have been, honestly, fair. I would have been happy today with that. Not happy today. And it's not because of my suspension. I take ownership.
This suspension is about more than just one moment. The contract suspension handed down to Brittney Griner isn't just punishment for a single outburst. It's a reckoning for a pattern of behavior the WNBA can no longer defend. This is the same player who complained about crowd noise. Not because it was hostile, but because fans were finally showing up to watch the game. The same athlete who, after being rescued from imprisonment abroad in a high-profile international effort, returned home only to hurl racially charged insults at fellow American athletes. The entitlement, the arrogance, the utter lack of gratitude. For too long, the league looked the other way. But now that leniency has run its course, Griner's actions and the backlash they've triggered have become too loud to ignore. Her suspension isn't just a disciplinary measure. It's a message no player is above accountability.
Brittney Griner is playing a game, and this is what Brittney Griner calls. I was not going to comment on any of this stuff until this took place. Watch what she says. The entire internet has reacted to this. Here's Brittney Griner. They're playing against the Indiana Fever, and look what she's saying. Go ahead, Rob.
For the ticky-tack fouls that we were talking about earlier today.
Well, that pretty much sounds like trash effing white girl.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just be honest.
So the whole market reacts to this with Brittney Griner, right? And then the other quote, Rob, then I'm going to wrap this up and then I'm going to go to Adam. Put the quote of Brittney Griner, what she said about the NBA. This is so funny how all this stuff works out, right? She says, this is from Brittney. Every time we play her, there's this commotion, like this loud rumbling from the stands. Turns out it's people, thousands of them, just sitting there, watching on purpose. It's very disruptive. It's called the freaking game that they pay you money to play. Don't play the game.
The financial fallout is devastating, and deserved Brittney Griner's suspension isn't just a setback on the court. It's a financial and reputational collapse. She's not only forfeiting game checks, she's hemorrhaging endorsement, deals, sponsorships, and any realistic shot at salvaging her public image. For a player once positioned as a symbol of resilience, the fall from grace couldn't be more dramatic. Let's not forget, her return to the US came at a steep price. A controversial prisoner exchange that freed a convicted international, arms dealer. And yet, her response to that extraordinary act wasn't gratitude or humility. It was hostility, entitlement, and now a moment of public disgrace triggered by a racist outburst. Every dollar lost is a reminder of what she gambled, and what she threw away in a moment of anger. Karma's timing couldn't be more precise. What makes this turn of events so significant is the timing. The WNBA is no longer in a position to protect players with toxic reputations. Caitlin Clark has brought a tidal wave of new attention, ticket sales, and fresh eyes to the league. And these fans, many tuning in for the first time, are not here to watch veteran players lash out with racism and go unchecked. For the WNBA, the cost of coddling problematic stars now outweighs the benefits. The business case for accountability has finally trumped the politics of protection. When the suspension dropped, social media lit up with disbelief. Many assumed Griner was untouchable, immune to consequences, no matter how inflammatory her behavior became. She had weathered tone-deaf complaints about fan support, shrugged off backlash over entitlement, and leaned on a narrative of victimhood that shielded her from real scrutiny. But not anymore. This decision proves that even the most protected athletes have limits. And for Griner, the shield that once insulated her from accountability has cracked wide open.
By Autumn Johnson.
BG, right now you have 10 points, 5 rebounds. We see the Atlanta Dream as being very... Right now she's talking to the refs. about holding. We're going to send it back to you guys.
Very important question.
There are moments in sports history when everything changes. Not because of what happens on the court, but because of what happens when the cameras catch what was never supposed to be seen. For Brittney Griner, that moment came in full view of the world. Her words, sharp and unmistakable, slipped through the noise after fouling out of a game against Caitlin Clark. "Trash white girl," she mouthed. Caught on camera. No ambiguity, no debate. And for a while, nothing happened. The league that had once made her its centerpiece, that had worked overtime to paint her as a symbol of strength and resilience, turned its head. Silent, hoping the storm would pass, hoping fans would forget, hoping sponsors wouldn't notice. The WNBA was riding high on a wave of new attention. Caitlin Clark had become a sensation, drawing millions of new eyes to women's basketball, filling arenas, selling out merchandise, and making sponsors take women's sports seriously in ways they never had. The league finally had momentum, and then Brittney Griner opened her mouth and threatened to undo it all in a flash. Racism, especially when hurled at the league's brightest new star, is not something you can sweep under the rug. Not in 2025. Not in a world where every second is recorded and shared. Not when fans are watching, sponsors are watching, and the future of the league is finally looking bright. The WNBA had a decision to make. Protect a veteran player with a history of special treatment, or protect the integrity of the sport. It took them weeks, but eventually, with pressure mounting and the dollars on the line, they made their choice. When the suspension finally dropped, the reaction was seismic. Social media exploded. Fans who had been demanding accountability for weeks finally felt heard. The silence that followed the incident had turned into suspicion, into outrage, into betrayal, and then into relief. Because the WNBA had the power to act all along. The suspension language was in the contracts. It wasn't some new rule hastily put together to save face. It had always been there, buried in the fine print. The league just hadn't used it. That's what made their inaction so insulting. They could have done the right thing from the beginning, but they didn't. Not until the cost of doing nothing became greater than the cost of doing something. That delay makes the punishment feel even more like karma. Justice delayed, yes, but justice still served. Griner's supporters came out, swinging. The evidence isn't clear. She's a veteran. She deserves consideration. No. What she deserved, what every player deserves, is the same standard. No matter their status, no matter their past. Because the video was clear. The slur was caught, and the league's biggest star, Caitlin Clark, was the target. It wasn't just a bad look. It was a direct threat to everything the WNBA had built in the last year. The hypocrisy was overwhelming. This was the same league that launched an ADSA investigation into Indiana Fever fans over allegations of racist behavior, allegations that were later dismissed as baseless. Yet, here they were, sitting on crystal clear evidence of real racism, and doing nothing about it, till they were forced to. The financial fallout for Griner has been nothing short of catastrophic. This isn't just about lost paychecks. This is about a brand collapse. Endorsements are being pulled quietly. Speaking engagements have been canceled. Future sponsorships are disappearing before they're even offered. Griner isn't just suspended from play. She's been suspended from marketability, from legacy, from grace. And this came after the US government traded a convicted arms dealer to bring her home. That level of sacrifice, that level of national effort, all repaid with a racial insult to a fellow American athlete. The arrogance, the ingratitude, the entitlement, it's staggering. Now, every dollar she loses, every opportunity that vanishes, is a receipt for that moment of rage. What's perhaps most powerful about this moment is not what it says about Griner, but what it says about the WNBA. For years, the league was plagued by a reputation of double standards. Star players got protected. Lesser-known names got punished fast and hard. Rules were enforced unevenly. Fans noticed, media often looked the other way. But this suspension feels different. It feels like a turning point. Coaches are reevaluating who they stand behind. Front offices are rethinking risk versus reward. Players who once assumed they'd never face consequences are suddenly walking more carefully. Because now they know protection isn't guaranteed anymore. Griner could have gone down as one of the greats, a powerhouse on the court, a symbol of resilience, a headline name. But now, her career will forever carry an asterisk. This suspension is not a side note. It's the defining moment. No matter how many points she scored, no matter what she did before. From now on, when people speak of Brittney Griner, they'll speak of this: the slur, the silence, the fall. She traded a legacy for a cheap insult, and it cost her everything. Sponsors don't care about excuses. They care about risk. And in today's social media landscape, racism, especially caught on camera, is radioactive. The suspension wasn't just about punishing a player. It was about saving the brand, the league, the future. Television deals are being negotiated. Sponsorships are being renewed. And the league could no longer afford to carry the weight of Griner's baggage. They cut ties. And in doing so, they drew a line. While Griner was melting down, Caitlin Clark kept her composure. She didn't retaliate. She didn't lash out. She played the game. She carried the weight, and she kept her focus, all while facing hate, hostility, and silence from those who should have stood by her. This suspension isn't just justice for the league. It's justice for Clark, a signal that her value is finally being recognized, that she deserves the same protection and respect that has been extended to others for years. And maybe now she'll get it. This isn't just a sports story. This is a cultural moment, a reckoning. Other leagues are watching. Sponsors across industries are watching. Fans, especially young fans, are watching. The WNBA just proved that accountability isn't optional, that no one, not even a star, is above consequences, that racism, no matter who it comes from, will not be excused. If they hold the line, this could transform the league forever. Reports suggest that if Griner ever wants to return, she'll need to undergo sensitivity training, complete community service, and offer a public apology. That's a level of public reckoning rarely seen in professional sports. For someone who built her brand on ego and defiance, the path back won't just be hard. It'll be humiliating. And maybe, just maybe, it won't happen at all. Because right now, retirement might feel easier than facing the mirror. Brittney Griner's downfall isn't tragic. It's earned. After years of acting untouchable, of skating past controversy, of thinking rules were for other people, she finally faced the one force that never blinks: karma. And karma hit hard. She insulted the very athlete who's saving the league. She bit the hand that fought to bring her home. And now she's learning in real time that actions have consequences, no matter who you are. The WNBA's suspension of Brittney Griner wasn't just the right decision. It was the necessary one. For the sport, for the fans, for the future, and for anyone who still believes that no one is too powerful to be held accountable.